Hey there, this is Dan Gandy, the Operative Group, and I want to talk about some of the best investment strategies that I've put into place over the last couple years that have been super profitable for our investment company. And I share these same strategies with my clients that hire me each and every day to represent them on real estate transactions. Why do I give this information up? Because this information is going to lead to helping more people out there. And I think if you help more people and you create more visibility to having success and cutting out the curveballs that have come up from time to time that slow us down as investors, then you're more capable and more able to take down real estate investments that are going to make you money versus cause you headache, frustration, and eventually get you to leave the business. Whether you're a real estate broker or a real estate investor, we want success for everybody in the market. Obviously, there's friendly competition, there's healthy competition, and some of these strategies that I put in place are not going to be potentially possible to people who don't have the knowledge and the expertise and the experience of closing probably 50 to 100 investment deals over the last couple years. Now, I'll preface all of that being that these investment strategies involve risk. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not your attorney. I'm not your CPA, accountant. I don't know you like you know yourself. So if you do invest, know that there's risk involved. All right, let's break into it. The most successful investment strategies that I've been able to implement on the West Coast are first and foremost your value add repositioning, okay? Value add repositioning, you'll hear about a value add a lot in multifamily, but value add repositioning can be done in many different factors. It can be done in properties that are single family that can be converted into short-term rentals. Value add repositioning can be done in single family that you're moving out of and you're going to convert to a rental. Value add repositioning can be done to duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and above. All it means is that you're going to buy an asset, take its pulse, and come up with a repositioning plan to turn it around, to maximize cash flow, increase its net operating income, its NOI, decrease its expenses or unnecessary expenses, basically trim the fat, and then get a higher valuation within a specific time frame that's going to lead to either a better appraisal to pull out cash and rinse and repeat and leverage, or able to list that property and 1031 it into something bigger and defer the taxes, or just outright sell it and make a profit, which I've done all three. But I want to talk about value add repositioning takes asset management skills. So asset management skills involve understanding property management, understanding P&Ls, understanding all of the financial literacy when it comes to looking at a property and making sure you know what's going on at all times. Every month, you should know your profit and loss on that property, and you should know what you're doing to continually invest in that property to make it worth more money. There are going to be curveballs. There's going to be expenses that you cannot predict or forecast. That is part of owning real estate. But things like rehab, things like improving capital investments like roofs and updating and remodeling units, bathrooms, kitchens, flooring, all of those repositioning value add projects, you're going to have set costs or set investments that you're going to want to put that money into the project. The hardest thing for new investors to see with value add repositioning is they're strictly stuck on cash flow investing. Cash flow investing is buying a property and immediately getting cash flow. I am one of the kings on the West Coast of buying properties with negative cash flow and turning them around to positive cash flow assets using the right techniques, both fair to the tenants and also strategic for my investors and myself. But the overall goal with value add repositioning is to make your property worth more money in a reasonable amount of time. So anybody out there that's investing and thinks a reasonable amount of time is 90 days from now, value add investing is not for you. 2 to 3 years is our typical cycle, but in times of high interest rates, times when we're investing and trying to implement things like the BRRRR strategy, we're not being able to do the value add repositioning as fast as we'd like. So sometimes that's a 4 or 5 year hold. And sometimes we do value add repositioning and we hold those properties forever. We don't ever sell them or take them out of our portfolio or trade them. So that first strategy that I'm talking about that can make you a crap ton of money is understanding how to add value to your investments, decrease costs, add efficiency, get an alignment to the market rent, and then being able to increase cash flow, which ultimately is going to give you the net operating income, your true net that you're going to be looking for in a value add repositioning project. The best value add projects that we've had are going to be small multifamily, even down to duplexes, because there's always a buyer pool of looking investors that want to buy in entry-level investments. So if you can get really good high rents and you can remodel those units and take out the risk or the worry of deferred maintenance and capital investments, then you have a better asset to sell on the open market. Another great asset that we've taken that is going to be parlayed into the second investment strategy that I'm talking about is mobile home parks. Mobile home parks have been a great investment for us. We've been able to take the first couple that we've purchased and do a complete value add repositioning, getting net operating income almost double. Now, a lot of people out there who are going to comment below and hate on me and say a million different things about how I'm raising rents on everybody and not actually doing anything to increase the habitability or the safety or the community of the property, you're wrong. The more money we can make on a property, the more things we can invest in to make that property better. Whether it's new asphalt, new mailboxes, new landscaping, better contractors and tradesmen, better service providers, putting in emergency systems, whatever it is. The more money we can make, the more flexibility we have to take care of those problems. If you just want us to never raise rent and never do a value add repositioning plan, then you're going to get the same thing forever. And that's what we're not interested in buying. If we can't make it better, we don't buy it. Remember that. If we can't make it better, we don't buy it. Second investment strategy that we've been able to implement and be really, really successful at is note and trust deed acquisitions. So owner financing. In the sub-2 world and all of the creative financing buzzwords that you'll hear out there, owner carry. Now, owner carry, guys, is basically summarized as us being able to purchase assets without using a bank and using the seller as the bank. Those note and trust deeds, we're never buying on installment sale or land sale contracts. Those are always going to be in the best interest of the seller, and they're going to hold the deed until you pay them off. So what we do is first mortgages or note and trust deeds, owner carry. Those are going to involve us having a promissory note that is going to basically review the terms of the deal, how much we're buying, how much down payment we're making, what our interest rate is going to be, if there's a prepayment penalty, yes or no, and when that balloon payment is going to mature, and if there's anything else that needs to be discussed in that contract, which I won't go into this video. The deed of trust is going to protect the seller in the event of foreclosure, because if that trust is broken, they're going to have to foreclose on that asset and basically repossess the asset. Note and trust deeds are perfect for people who want to retire and defer capital gains in some capacity. So the best candidate of finding owner carry is people who've owned investment properties for more than 15 to 20 years. They're at like an 80% equity position. They may have a small balance of 10, 20% on that property, which is enough for it to be paid off with a down payment of a potential buyer on owner carry. Also, the best candidate is somebody that understands interest rates and is able to beat the bank. You're not going to buy a property with higher interest rates than what you can get at a bank just to save a couple $1,000s in fees. Now, yes, I could argue if the fees were exuberant, it may make sense to go direct to seller and do an owner carry with the same exact interest rate. But what I'm really trying to prove to all of you is that usually 5 to 6.5% is what we're seeing traded on the West Coast for owner carries. These owner carries are going to inevitably be on assets where a seller isn't reliant on the income every month, because typically the mortgage payment or the owner carry payment, principal and interest at a minimum, taxes, insurance can be excluded from that equation, are going to be less than what they're making off of the gross rents if you factor in all of the asset expenses, CapEx, repairs, property management, accounting, all of the different expenses. But over time, those payments compounded over the interest rate for the longer periods of time, you're talking terms 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, and even up to 40 or 50 years, are going to give that investor a net sale proceed that is way higher than just collecting rents. It's their ability to tap into their equity. It's their ability to defer capital gains other than the principal payment that's going to be paid. And it's our duty as the buyer who's taking on a note trust, a deed of trust and a promissory note or an owner carry to be able to execute on that and not get foreclosed on. By doing that, we prove to ourselves, our investors that we're buying from, that they may want to invest in other projects with us. They may want to sell other properties in their portfolio. Guys, I have bought up to $3.6 million in properties from one person. Yes, one person. So when you're getting into that $4 to $5 to $6 million in property acquired, and you can show a track record of always making your payments on time, taking care of the asset, making them better, your investors are going to drive by those assets and be like, wow, we sold it to this person. We're making interest on our money that's better than a bank, and we're no longer wanting to be a landlord. And I wanted to stop on the no longer wanting to be a landlord, because that's an ideal client when you're trying to target people who want to sell on owner financing. Now, I want to talk about what we see in the reverse of that, or the opposite effect of that, which is people trying to sell on owner carry when they have way too much in deferred maintenance, they have way too many capital expenditures that need to be taken care of, and they're trying to sell you an asset that doesn't cash flow at all and is going to be impossible to cash flow due to bad location or a multitude of factors. And what I really try to walk that line is the asset past the point of no return? Or is that asset have the capability of being turned around using value add and repositioning on an owner carry to get to a point where your debt service, your mortgage payment that you're paying, is not eating into as much as your cash flow as you anticipated, so that you're netting more money. Your net operating income after debt service, or your cash flow after debt service, is still a good investment to acquire. So a lot of times, look for red flags. Look for people who want crazy prepayment penalties. The property is in a horrible location. It hasn't been a great investment for them because they're trying to get rid of it owner carry because they haven't been able to sell it on the open market, and a bank may not appraise it. Bringing me to another point. If a bank won't appraise it because it has a multitude of issues or things that may pop up, meaning it's non-appraisal amount or it's loan to value or just all quirky, that could be safety issues, that could be in a fire zone, it could be an earthquake issue, it could be a flooding issue, it could be too many shootings or drug activity in the specific insurance claim sector on that property. There's a million things that can happen, and the reason they're trying to sell it owner carry is because they can't sell it any other way. Those are assets I would try to tell people who are getting into investing to avoid. Third investment strategy that we use, guys, is being the bank, being the note holder. So what we'll do is we'll buy a property, fix it up, and instead of flipping it immediately, we'll throw a tenant in it. We'll hold on to it and get those income statements and those Schedule E tax returns to look good on paper because we've done well in holding that asset, and then turn around and sell a turnkey rental to an investor on owner carry. That gives us the ability to sell that property, defer some capital gains depending on what we're doing, whether it's interest only or small down payment acquisition sale, or give us the ability to collect as much down payment as we can that covered our rehab costs and some of our time, but we want the monthly cash flow plus that interest rate by building a note that could potentially be sold on the open market later if we needed to tap into that money. Also making sure our timelines match up to how long we want to hold that note. Now, guys, note holding has been around forever. Banks made millions and billions and trillions of dollars by notes. That's why there's banks on every corner in every city in America. But the difference is many investors early on in their career don't understand how to sell properties on notes. And that is an owner carry, or that is a land sale contract. That is a bill of sale on a mobile home and doing an installment sale on non-real property assets. I mean, you could pretty much sell anything with an interest rate if you have a good collection process and you trust the people and you vetted them. But number 3, investment strategy that's very successful for us is buying manufactured homes, fixing them up and getting them to be inhabitable and safe and up to code, and then turning around and selling those, collecting a principal payment and an interest payment, having the buyer pay the insurance premium on that property, and have the buyer pay the taxes on that property to be able to create a monthly note payment that gives us usually about a 3.5 year break-even point on acquisition, sometimes up to 5 years. So that means we put all of our money down to acquire that property, repair it, and then we collected a down payment, and then through all of the payments that we're collecting over the term of that note, we're able to break even on the money that we initially invested, which within 3.5 to 5 years. Now, guys, to most young investors, they're gonna be like, well, if I had 100 grand and I did that, I might exhaust all of my liquidity and then never be able to go out and buy more investments. You're correct. But your financeability to a bank when you're collecting and collecting profit on a regular basis, and you have monthly cash flow coming into that LLC, it gives you the ability to get lines of credit, to get HELOCs, to be able to borrow against the money that you're bringing in. The establishment of the LLC's cash flow statement and its performance is what's going to give you the ability to use those notes to your advantage. When people owe you a bunch of money and they're not paying you, you fail. But when people owe you a bunch of money and they're paying you, you're earning interest. You're making money on your money, and that money is constantly in motion. So we get mailbox money on a monthly basis that comes in, and it's from properties that we've sold on notes. I get little to minimal communication with those buyers. They send me an updated insurance statement every year to know that it's protected, and we send them the tax statement to pay because we're still on title on some of those investments, especially the mobile homes. Excuse me. So when you are buying properties on notes, when you're selling properties on notes, and you've mastered the BRRRR strategy or the value add repositioning strategy, it gives you the ultimate triple threat of earning income from being a real estate investor. Now, some of you out there, why haven't I talked about wholesaling? Why haven't I talked about real estate commissions? That is a great point. But real estate commissions give us liquidity into the business and give us a hamster wheel of capability for down payments. It also allows us to stack up our knowledge bank and our experience bank to learn more each and every day from investments and due diligence and zoning and development and all of these other factors. But it's not the core income to the business. It's just the ability to work in the industry to supply us more tools and more liquid for us to execute more investments. Wholesaling, same thing. Collecting assignment fees, finding off-market deals and assigning them, doing sub-twos, doing all-inclusive trust deeds or wrap mortgages. We've done it all. But what I want to really tell you is that none of it is built off of selling real estate for commissions or wholesaling. The last thing it's not built off of is in fix and flip investing. I'm not going to say that fix and flip investing is a bad thing because I'm doing it actively in other states, but my ability to be super successful with it is a conflict of interest to my clients when I'm fixing and flipping in my own area in which I'm representing investors doing it. It's a great business model to stack capital, just like commission checks, just like wholesaling, but it also ties up capital until you can remove the hard money from the equation. So that's why it's not in my top 3 investment strategies that I'm actively using, because if I have to borrow somebody else's money to flip the property and the profit's only 10 or 20,000 every 6 months, I've probably made more money doing a BRRRR strategy or a value add repositioning strategy over the long term of 2 to 5 years than it would be if I made $60,000 to $80,000 flipping 2 homes. The amount of bandwidth it takes, unless you have a really good general contractor or a general contractor as a partner, can really eat into that profit per hour on fix and flip. It's not that it's a bad strategy, and I support all of my investors and clients that do it. I just don't actively do it in my market that I'm working in and where I'm living in, because our value add repositioning investment goals on bigger projects have been way more successful. If you have any questions about any of this, I have over 50 completed deals on BRRRR. I'm a BRRRR featured agent. I've jumped on dozens and dozens, probably over 50 consultations with investors looking to get started. There's 3 prerequisites to being able to meet with me. 1, you're a hustler or somebody that's willing to work hard and learn. Number 2, you leave your ego at the door. And number 3, you have some sort of liquidity or money, or you have a hard money loan pre-approval. I don't want to meet with a bunch of people who have 0 money. If you have 0 money, read books, mentor people, volunteer to help investors, fill up your knowledge bank, and figure out a way to find disposable income to invest, or find 0 down owner carry or creative financing subject to transactions. Plenty of ways to do it, but I'm not interested in meeting with investors and coaching them and mentoring them if they don't have the capability of investing in the West Coast and my ability to help them using my professional services. More than happy to give you free information, more than happy to set up an email and answer some questions, just not interested in meeting with anybody unless there's a mutually beneficial relationship. I've been burnt by so many investors that want to learn, they take a bunch of my time, and I don't pay people, or I don't allow people to pay me for coaching. So it's probably my own fault, but at the end of the day, our ability to help people is based upon allocation of time. And if you really want to learn this value add repositioning plan, you need to know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to negotiate deals on acquisition with the best terms, and then be able to implement a plan and follow the systems and order of operations to state a budget and be able to look and forecast your pro forma to be able to execute on your exit goals. My name is Dan Gandy, principal broker, partner of Sharks Holdings and many other different investment companies that we have. Those are my 3 best investment strategies on the West Coast to be super successful. Thank you.